Hi, in this tutorial, I'm going to go over the rendering environment in Autodesk Fusion 360. Now the first thing we want to do is come over here to our tab, and we want to come down to Render. That's going to bring us into the rendering environment. The first thing we're going to go over is the appearance. Now when I click on appearance, there are going to be a bunch of different materials here that I can choose from. And so I can take this aluminum anodized glossy, for example, and I can take it and drag it onto my part. And it's going to automatically set it to be that color. Now you'll also notice that some of the materials have this little download icon to the right of them. Now I can't take this material and drag it onto my part right now, but if I click on this button, Fusion is going to download it for me, and I'll be able to take it and drag it onto my part and use it. So let's set a nickel polished just for now, and we're going to close this window. And now we're going to come up to scene settings, and under scene settings I'm going to change the brightness. That's the first slider here. And once I find a brightness that I like, I can click on position, and if I slide this, I can actually change the rotation of the light, the angle at which the light hits the object. I can uncheck that. And under background, right now solid color is chosen. So I can click on this color and I can change it to be this red, for instance, and I can hit apply, and that's going to make the background red. But if I'd like, I can come down to environment, and that's going to set a lighting environment for me. So as you can see, this is a gray background set from the environment library. And we'll go over that in a minute. Over here where it says ground plane, I can check this box, and that's going to create a ground plane with a shadow for me. I can also click on Flatten Ground. And Flatten Ground, basically, if you're wondering what it does, it projects the part of the environment that is below the ground onto the ground plane, and this correlates the height and the width if the lighting environment is visible as the background. The other thing to go over are the reflections. So right now, it's very hard to see the reflection of the part. You can kind of move this like this, and you can see that there's really almost no reflection shown, and the roughness slider changes the amount of reflection. But if I click here on the color and I make it say almost black, you're going to see that that reflection comes up very sharply. And if I'd like, I could change the roughness value, and that's going to change the visibility of that reflection. That being said, we have a bunch of different options here for the camera. So over here it says perspective. I can change this to orthographic, and that's pretty self-explanatory. There's also an option for perspective with ortho faces, but I think perspective and orthographic work just fine on their own. So under perspective, we can change the focal length. And as you can see, there's a big difference between, say, 24 millimeters and about 100 millimeters. And under exposure, if we change the exposure, that's going to be how much flashlight there is. We can also click on depth of field, and that's really only if you're using the in-canvas rendering. And the last thing is the aspect ratio. So you can change this if you know what your rendering aspect ratio is supposed to be. Usually I'm doing 16:9. So if you have this selected, it's going to be a little bit easier to render because at least you have a frame of reference to render within. Now we're going to come to Environment Library, and there are a bunch of different ones here to choose from. If you'd like, you can take one of these and drag it and just place it onto the background, and you're going to see that that changes the whole lighting environment in a big way. The same way that we have downloadable materials, we also have downloadable lighting environments. So I can, for instance, click on this download button, and I can take this crossroads and drag it onto the scene. And it's going to load up, and once it's finished loading, you're going to see that I actually have that nice crossroads sunset on my part. So we're going to close this, and the next thing I want to show is the decal. So I'm going to click on decal, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this face right here. This is a cylindrical face. With it selected, I can come over here to image, and I can click on the image button, and now I can take an image and I can place it on this face, and I can rotate it to exactly the amount of degrees that I want. I can also move it back and forth very easily, and this way as well. And I can kind of stretch it if I want. I could stretch it in this direction, or I can just drag the whole thing and make it larger or smaller. And I find this to be very easy to work with. So I can make it maybe this big and just kind of drag it like this. And you can also change the scale from the decal wizard. You can do a flip or a vertical flip. So that's how you add a decal to a part. So we're just gonna flip this like this and hit OK. And another really cool thing is the in-canvas render. So I can click on in-canvas render, and you're going to see this thing come up on the bottom right. And so it's actually rendering while I'm working. But every time that I rotate or move my part, it's going to have to restart that in-canvas render from the beginning. So as you can see, it has this loading bar here, and they have a bunch of different values: excellent, final, and infinite. Now, if I take the slider and I move it to right here, you're going to see that it only loads up to that point and it doesn't continue. Now that's good, because I don't want to have to wait a very long time for my in-canvas render to complete. So if I want, I can just kind of drag this all the way to here, and that way when I'm working, when I'm orbiting this, it's only going to render for, let's say, 9 seconds or 10 seconds. So that's all it's going to do. It's only going to have 6 iterations, which is how many times it processes the rendering. Now, if you take the slider and you keep dragging it and you drag it all the way up to here, then that rendering while you're working is going to be much longer. So it's going to look a lot better, but it's also going to take longer for it to load. And this is commensurate on your computer power. If you have a very powerful computer, then you have the luxury to drag the slider all the way up. But if you don't, you may have to keep it much lower. I like to keep it down here. I think that it's still very useful even here at the beginning. So let's stop this rendering. And now we're going to come to the rendering settings. And as you can see, there's fast and advanced. And these are really just for the in-canvas environment. And you can change things like the resolution and stuff if you need to. Now, it's a pretty simple menu. And of course, if you need to, you can click on Capture Image, and that's going to just capture the image that's right here on screen. It's not going to do a final render. So if I click on Final Render, it's going to bring up these settings, and you can either do a cloud render or a local render. Now, I always do a local render. Local render means that you're using your computer power. If you do a cloud render, it means that you're sending it to the Autodesk server to be computed, and then they're going to send it back to you. And that costs money. Money in the realm of credits. You use credits to pay for these cloud renders. Now, I don't want to do that. I just want to use my computer, so I'm going to click on local render. And I always keep this on final because I want my render quality to be good. And you can change things like the aspect ratio, and you can change this to be JPEG if you want. And there are a couple other settings here for the size and things like that. And when you click render, it's going to start rendering your image. Once you click the rendering button, no window is going to come up. But if you notice, here on the bottom left, it says Rendering Gallery. We're going to click on this plus sign, which is going to reveal a bunch of different screw renderings that we've done in the past, as well as the one that just finished. Now, if I click on this, you're going to see that it brings it up, and I can actually cycle through all of the renderings that I've done in the past as well. Now, from here, I can go and click Delete and delete a rendering. I can also come here to this button and download my rendering, which is going to be very useful, of course. I can also come here to post-processing, and I can click on this to post-process my rendering. Now, post-processing is not supported on a local rendering, which is what we did. We did local rendering, meaning we did it on our personal computer. You can only do post-processing in cloud rendering, which is a downside. Now, if I click on this, it's actually going to give me a window that tells me this, that I need to re-render it in the cloud to enable the feature. So that pretty much covers the basics. And I hope you got a lot of value out of this. And I hope you can make some great renderings with this tool. Thank you.